giving me because I'm recording it. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, sure. No worries. I will make you host now. There we go. Super. Okay, a couple more things to come in here, which I'm going to show you. All right. Seems we've got quite a few people here. So morning, everyone. Hope you're all doing well. If you can put your camera on, that would be amazing because then we have more interaction. We can actually see each other. Hello, hello, hello. We are real human beings. So I work in Web3 as well, and everyone, blockchain, and everyone thinks that Web3 is entirely just robots running stuff, but actually it's real humans. And the only work that ever gets done is when you have a real human on the other end. So the technology enables it, but the humans are the ones that power it. Cool. Okay. So last little bits here. Right. So I have put into the Slack channel, the main Slack channel, uh, all the kind of some of the kind of feedback we've had from the first survey results. And we'll be putting out another survey pretty soon as well. But what I really loved about the survey, and thank you for everyone who's participated, we had a lot of really great responses, was the approach was really cool actually. Just looking, if you look in the Slack channel, you can see that there's a quite a nice balance. I mean, renewables and storage was kind of like the predominant one that you guys are looking at, but there's equally split across livability, zero carbon, and personal and micromobility, which is really cool. And of course, you could choose two. So I imagine some people chose renewables as well as micromobility. But it's really great because we're seeing like a breakdown of different people who want to sort of who can see different things happening, but it's a nice spread, which is really good. The second one I put in there was let's look at it here. Was so what do you want to learn and what do you want to get out of this series? And the main one was idea. So 19% of people chose idea, but also as you can look at that in the Slack message, there's learning, positive change, feedback, pitching. So it's a really nice sort of approach here that sort of actually we're still in this ideation phase, and that's what we're going to cover quite a bit today. And then the final one, which I really like, was people came in top. So what excites you most about being part of an innovation community is people. And that kind of brings us back to why we're here in the first place of why we want to build these things together. Okay, super. So today, let me just bring up this screen. I'm on one screen today, so it's going to be a little bit of juggling. Give me one moment. Now, can you see that? Seminar 3? Yep, great. Thanks, Henry. Yep. Perfect. So, what we're going to do is work through. So first of all, before we kick off, Henry and I have been putting in some kind of like assignments, mini action prompts into the Slack channel around giving feedback and presenting some ideas and presenting some of the thoughts you have around that. And so we can give feedback to each other on kind of key issues that we're having challenges with. Now we've left that one open that's up there right now, which is what are your personal reflections and how do you want to give feedback on it and what are the things you're thinking about as you're going through this. But actually, we're going to open up we'll leave that one up there, but we're going to open up some new ones, which are more about what are the challenges that you're seeing with using these canvases if you're using them for the first time, and what are the opportunities that you can use from a canvas. Now, I understand we're in a competition, right? So I get that you probably don't want to share all of the amazing insights and things that you're having about your idea because you want to apply for the competition. So we're in this kind of weird space where it's sort of competitive, but not at the same time. So what we're going to do is we're going to focus on the kind of in between the sessions, the kind of work we're doing on Slack to be more around any challenges you're having with the canvases, because we can all learn from each other around how we're pushing those canvases forward and what we need to do, what we can do to help each other in terms of feedback. And so if you have questions around your project specifically that you want to ask, you can definitely message Henry or myself, or you can message everyone in the group. And I would encourage you to message it openly. That's a really great way of doing it. But you can obviously message us privately as well to see if want some feedback. And so what we'll want to do is as we go through the next few weeks, we will post some more of these kind of key challenges and questions around the canvases, and then you guys can post, hey, I'm finding it really hard to understand how I identify my first customer, and then we can all provide some feedback on it. And then for those of us who are more experienced in the group who've done this before can say, well, actually a great way of doing it is this instead of that. Totally open. Definitely, I do not have all the answers, nor does Henry, nor does anyone. So if you've got more ideas and more feedback, please put it into the group. So a quick bit of feedback I'd like from you guys is in the Slack channel and how you're working with it. Do you find that is it possible? What would you prefer there? Would you prefer some more open channels? What would you prefer? Would you prefer some more kind of like closed channels between people? So can you just stick into the chat any feedback you've got on the Slack channel right now? So does it working for you? Is it not working? Happy to hear whatever. So we'll take 30 seconds. So please just put anything you've got into the meeting chat of Zoom, what you're thinking about the Slack channel, what's working, what's not working for you. So for me is I'll bring something as well. Okay, not clear about the purpose of channels except random. Okay. So, So Danny said, I'd like to specific idea channels like micromobility. Okay. Okay. So we can foster by topics. Great comment there. Thanks in the Slack channel.
You doing live today?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. You
I'll
can
just
start.
I'll do 4 sets of chest though.
What is the chest today when you do
No,
live?
I'm doing like
sorry, I think
mostly
back. I think you're not talking to us. Is that right? Okay. Anything else in the channels, in the chat? Yeah. Okay. Been able to struggle to get the Slack channel, struggle to join. Okay. Not clear when to do a channel, what's required from me. Okay, cool. All right, great. Thank you. So we'll put some more explicit instructions into the channel. Thank you, Henry, for sharing the link. And then we'll be able to go from there. Okay, super. All right, thanks, you guys. So switch hats now, talking about kind of technical stuff around Slack. How are you guys feeling this morning? It's 11:40. We're coming up to the third one of this series of 6. How are you guys feeling? One word, adjective. How do you feel right now? I feel excited, Henry. Chris, good. Learned something new today. Cool, positive, excellent, refreshed. Nice. Excellent, good stuff. Super, super. Brilliant. A little bit like licorice, all sorts. Been away. Yeah, no worries. It's always the feeling like 4-day weeks is good, but it's also so much work to do. Jeremy thinks the table, brilliant. I'll leave Shia to figure out the Slack channel a bit later on. Good, excellent, awesome. Okay, great. Thanks, guys. Okay, so I got a bit of a hoarse throat, so as long as you can hear me, give me a thumbs up and it's not too bad. Yeah, awesome. Okay, cool. So what we're going to do today, so we want to work on a products loved. You'll have seen in the Disco channel that we've got a few canvases to work through. We're going to work through those pretty quick today. So I'm just going to see. There we go. I'm just going to check through our timing. Okay, cool. So products, that's finding a product's loved. It's a really tricky bit. We're going to look at 3 main things today. So the problem solution fit, finding a product and jobs to be done, and then customer testing. And the kind of homework today, the kind of action prompt for going home is the customer testing. And normally when we do this thing and we run it in like a week, really hardcore boot camp, we would do like day 2 of 5, like end of day 2, we would be in the field getting customer testing done. So super, super early. Literally, we've just found the problem. We found some maybe ideas of a solution and already customer testing, because the key part of a problem and the number one reason that startups fail is they build a product that no one wants to buy. And it's just the classic. And I have fallen into this problem as well before. And it's one of those things you go through as a startup entrepreneur, you're going to go through it because you start off normally with a solution and you figure out later on that no one wants to buy it. So how are we going to look at that? We'll look at problem solution fit. Then we'll look at JTBD, which is very, very good structure of the way to understand how to create something people love. And then we'll think about some ways of going out and doing some customer testing. All right. So can someone in the Slack channel, so sign in to look at Slack, we're going to put this in Slack, and you can put it in the main, actually, you know what, main channel. So put it in the City Open Open Innovation channel. What is one problem that you're working on? Just stick in one problem that you're working on. And whoever gets in the first problem is the one we're going to do for this quick exercise. So in the main channel, stick in a problem. Oh, Hamza and Brian are vying it out to get in first. Finding people to test the product. What to put in my deck? Okay, food waste at Queenpit Market. Okay, brilliant. All right, we're gonna go with a nice one. That was like split second difference. So we'll go Hamza on this one. So now I want everyone else to put into that Slack channel, what is the worst idea to try and find people to test a product? What is the worst idea? And I'm thinking like, what is the worst idea you can possibly think of? Don't try and think of an amazing idea. What is the worst idea? So I think I can put one in, which would be and worst idea, cold email, ask a partner. Tell everyone they'll go to prison if they don't respond to your survey. Don't test it at all. What's the worst idea? To get people to test your product? What's the worst one to find those people? What's another terrible idea? What's an absolutely terrible idea? Probably yeah, intimidate people on the street. Yes, door knocking at 3 a.m. Yes, very good. Ask your mom, ask your parents. Yep, terrible ideas. Awful. Try and figure out desperate research. Door knocking 6 a.m. on a Sunday. Yes, terrible ideas. I love it. These are awful. Just awful. Keep going. What's the worst idea you can possibly think of? Okay. So spam was right. Okay, brilliant. So the next part is, what are the properties of those terrible ideas? So you can just pick a couple. So what are the properties of those terrible ideas? So what is one thing that terrible idea uses? So I would probably say my one, which was to scream at people in the mall, would be really loud in people's faces. Yeah, making them uncomfortable, be rid of people's faces. Yeah, unreasonable timing. Yes. Force feedback. Forcing yourself. Yeah, okay. So these are all properties of those things. Okay, and what makes those ideas so bad? What makes them so bad? Asking too much of people, makes people scared of you. What else is there? The right customer not coming to you, not finding the win-win. Yes, you're not finding the win-win. You're not listening to their needs. They feel used. They're invasive. Yes, forceful. Brilliant. Okay. Okay, great. So what is the opposite of those worst attributes? So give me some adjectives of those worst. What is the complete opposite of those worst attributes? So so opposite of why I wrote people feel scared. So the opposite would be people feel loved and cared for. People feel safe and comfortable, heard, listened to. Yeah. Yeah, great. What else? They are safe space, talking. Yay. Yep, space. Yep. Danny, same as me. So space, no talking. Yes, great. Okay. Okay, cool. So what else would you do then of those kind of ideas we've had at the very top, what would you do to switch them to be the very opposite? So think of an idea you put down there. What would you do using those new verbs, those new adjectives, to make it more comfortable for them? So, okay, so I'll put my one down. So what would you do? What was the opposite? So mine was scream at people in the mall. So I put my opposite would be, well, I'd set up a coffee stall, invite them in with cinnamon buns, make them feel very happy. What are the actual thing you would do to do the opposite of the thing you said was that awful, terrible idea? Comfortable chairs, puppies. Yes. Okay. What else? Find those people looking for a product. Yes. Everything find the right time. Okay. But what are the specifically things you would do to change the way you'd engage them? I had the prison one as well. So I would say, 2, 3, so I would send people to prison if they didn't do my survey. And my opposite would be, well, invite people to have a free massage voucher for a local spa. It's kind of quite like they're the polar opposites, right? You don't, so yeah. So what we're trying to do here is, this is a great way. Do you see how easy it was for us to put in really terrible ideas? And did we see how easy it was then create some adjectives on what that looked like? Suddenly we're in a really good ideation space because we can actually see what we can do, and we can actually use a much, much bigger, expansive mindset to come up with ideas. Now, you guys seem to have frozen, so I just need to check. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, we can hear you all right.
All right, cool. Okay, excellent. Moving to participation, money participation, user network for warm referrals. Yes. Besides side, open your garage, possibly come in and test a product. Yes. Okay, great. So this is just a quick exercise. If you are stuck when you're doing customer testing, or if you're stuck in any kind of trying to come up with a solution to a problem, sometimes the very best way of doing it is to think of the very worst solution and then flip it entirely on its head. But here's the key for doing this exercise. You've got to go to the very extreme. Because if you just say in the middle, I'll just write a nice survey, that doesn't get us anywhere near where you actually need to be. You need to have to say, I'm going to grab people and not let go of them until they fill my survey by holding onto their hand super tightly, which is very uncomfortable. So the opposite would be, okay, I'm going to welcome people into an environment which has coffee and puppies and comfortable chairs and an amazing audio visual experience for them to fill in my survey. Okay, they're two very different things. So we're trying to go to extremes here so you land on something that actually really works. All right, cool. Great. Thank you for participating. What we've done so far: finding your North Star, what really keeps you going, mapping who you need to speak to right now. So last time, those stakeholders, and then mapping out what your partners and customers feel. That's what we're going to be looking at today. So problem, solution, fit. Right. So before we get anywhere near product market fit, we have to know, is your problem and your solution, are they compatible? Are they the bits that actually fit together? Is the solution you are thinking of in the back of your mind actually the thing that is giving you what you need? And so we are still kind of in the sort of zero stage. Now, some of us have more advanced businesses than others in terms of you've figured out, you've got a market, and you're attacking that market. That's great. But really where we're on this open innovation competitions, we'll probably only get to number 1, which is still validation of that problem and solution fit. So we're in this part where we're thinking of ideas, we're thinking of concepts, and we're getting towards commitment to a certain channel of, here is a problem and here is a solution that we can put forward and that will fit that and actually solve that. And so input from mentors is incredibly important at this point. And then we're going to be talking about in the next session, actually the application form and actually how you put it together for City of Melbourne. we've had a few questions on how to engage with mentors. Now, does anyone have any questions that they want to voice right now, either in the chat or open out loud, around how to engage mentors? Has anyone had any challenges or problems with that part of the program? And you can speak as well as type.
Okay, I speak. Some of the mentor links are just not working. The booking pages, they're not online.
Okay. So you're clicking through the Calendly and it's not taking you anywhere.
Yes, basically.
Yeah.
Or some of the calendars do not have available time slots. Both,
Right.
both.
Okay, cool. Okay, good. Okay, that's great. So we'll take that back and ask. We're not managing that part, but this is why I'm asking, because I really want to get that feedback back to City of Melbourne so they can improve it. Okay, thanks, David. Anything else? Anyone else book a mentor? Okay, yeah, Chris, there's we're going to share the link. So Henry will share the link on how to get those mentor programs up and running. We'll go back, David, to City of Melbourne and ask them around those calendars. If you want to, you direct message me who those mentors are you're trying to get hold of, just so we got a specific one we can ask about. Can they open up their calendar? That'd be very helpful. Just DM me on Slack would be great. Thanks, David. Okay, Carmen. Yeah, haven't been able to book for a mentor. Again, please send a message to Henry and I around who you haven't been able to book and why, and then we'll follow it up. Okay. All right, cool. So the reason I'm asking is mentors are very important right now for help in creating your validation points. All right, cool. Problem, solution, fit. Let's go through this really quickly. So we're at this kind of stage over on the left-hand side. What this part of the process is trying to really work on validated learning. So do we have enough data to understand that the problem I'm trying to solve and the solution I think I have actually work together? And what happens at this point is you're trying to do test runs, you're trying to talk to customers, you're trying to do maybe some quick demos. And if you find out that the solution you have isn't solving that problem, or it's a different problem, you can pivot. You can do a different, you can go in a different way. Now, pivoting in startup world is kind of this slightly overblown thing as well. I remember being in an incubator maybe 10 years ago, and someone came up to me just randomly said, "Hey, have you pivoted yet?" And it was like, no, because it's sort of working. It was this thing that you have to pivot to make it work. And I've been in other ones where we didn't pivot and it totally didn't work. So what's important at this early stage is working through validated learning so you can make that pivot, which basically means you go from this idea to solve the same problem. This is why being in love with the problem is the most important part. So there's 3 ways that you can look at your validation process. The first one is where you're at. So the first one is blurry gas form. So this is when you wake up at 3 a.m. in the morning, like, oh, the solution to this massive problem I've been thinking about is this. And you ruminate on it and it sits in your mind forever. And you just think it's the most amazing solution, elegant, brilliant, but you don't get any evidence on it. So it's this blurry gas amorphous solution to a problem that has not been tested. That, if you turn up to a VC or you turn up to a mentor, or you turn up to anyone and say, I've got the solution for this. And they say, what's your evidence on it? You say, I've just thought about it at 3 a.m. in the morning. It's probably not going to work. The next one is that you've got this kind of fluid liquid form, which is you've identified a solution, you've got a certain audience which is resonant with it. So maybe you've tested it with a few people, maybe it's friends, family, and fools, maybe it's a bit beyond that. And what's happening with that early liquid solution, it's still pretty swishy and sloshy. It's not really solid, but you've got some people who go, I get what that person's talking about. I'm kind of with them on that one. That makes good. That's a good idea. So maybe you got some landing pages, some demos, or super early prototypes that aren't really as close to the final solutions as you'd like, but someone gets what you're talking about. Now, in fluid liquid form, you can get investment. It does not have to be a fully tangible, concrete product. With an idea and a great team and a supervision, you can get investment. So that's not to say you have to have it super solid, but it helps a lot if you have something that's in tangible, solid form, which is you've created the idea in your mind, you've gone out and tested and you've validated that it works and it solves that problem. You've got some quick prototypes or demos. A demo can be a website, a demo can be a fake website, a demo can be something stuck together with sellotape and elastic bands. That's okay. And you've got one more stage than that, which is a very early prototype that someone is using in a real world situation. So you can actually test, is it reducing emissions, for example, or is it actually giving cost savings? So you could, for example, have a little smart plug that sits on your dishwasher and only lets the dishwasher go on when it's low electricity rates. That little smart plug isn't probably your final solution, but you could prove over 2 months of testing that you've saved that person $50. Okay, super. That is a tangible, solid form. You can then potentially convert some of those early evangelists, people who just love what you're doing, into a paying customer in a very small way. But that is where you're really getting to the second part, which is opening product market fit. And product market fit is where you actually say, well, I've proved it to a point where it actually works and solves the problem. I've got a few people who actually think it's important and are actually paying for it. Really important here is this whole scale part on the right-hand side is if you go to scale too fast, as in you think you've got enough money and you try to go to scale and you don't actually have a product that fits the solution, a product that is the solution that fits the problem, it's a recipe for disaster. And the challenge is, and this is an internal mechanism you've got to manage, is that everyone wants to scale. When you start your company, you don't start your company thinking, I want to put on one smart plug in a wall. You start a company thinking, I want smart plugs in every house across Australia or across the world. So you want to scale. But if you start to scale too fast without true validated learnings, it's a recipe for disaster, because what happens is you end up burning a bunch of cash on product that doesn't then get out to the market. Okay. Happy to share stories on that one at some point as well. So stay in problem and customer mode. It's super frustrating. And you're probably thinking, geez, Adam, you keep talking about problem. But the truth is, if you stay in that mode, the outcome is going to be so much better. All right. So here's the kind of graph of what the timing can look like. Now, timing 24 months, 36 months, that's more kind of a software sort of play. Very challenging. It could be much, much shorter than that. It could be much, much longer than that, especially on hardware. But the key bit here is not the amount of months it's got there, but the total time of where you are in the process of starting the venture or starting your climate tech company. And that is, you're in problem market solution fit for quite a long time with a very limited amount of customers. And you're only really into product market fit when you've got a pretty reasonable, I mean, what are we looking at? 10 times, 15, 20 times the amount of customers you've had at like month 3? Quite a lot more customers. And then scaling is a whole different business. And scaling means you employ different people. You're doing very different things as a business. It's definitely not, it's very different to a startup place. So all this is saying is keep in mind that if you're getting frustrated, that you feel like you're still in problem solution fit, you are doing probably the right thing. Okay. All right. So identifying your customer. Who experiences the pain the most and who's willing to pay even for a demo level, and who is the hungriest? So you might think my target market is, for example, EVs. My target market is everyone who drives an EV in Melbourne. Okay, fantastic. But who is the hungriest for the cheapest charging station? Is it the person who has got 2 Teslas, a Powerwall, owns 4 houses, and blah, blah, blah? They're not the hungriest for the cheapest charging station. They want convenience. But the person who is a dedicated eco-warrior who's bought the cheapest EV they can possibly get and is struggling to make ends meet would be the one who says, I want to charge my Nissan Leaf at this place because it's the cheapest charger I can get in the whole of Melbourne. That is an initial hungry target customer that you're solving a real problem for. That's a very quick example. I'm not going to go through this because we placed this in Slack last time. You may have seen this, but this is Simon Sinek. And this, I urge you to go back to the Slack channel. Probably Henry can reshare that in a more recent thread. But basically, Simon Sinek talks about why the long and short of it is, and he is great. I really like the work he does. The long and short of it is that everyone knows what a company does. So Apple makes computers. That's the example he gives. Most people know how they do it. Well, they pull together great pieces of hardware and software and make it a really nice, seamless experience. But really what Apple does is challenge the status quo to give you products that you never would have thought of before that make you feel amazing because you're using something that's just so much better than a clunky PC. So Apple is actually an innovation company that makes you feel great when you go to get the new thing. And that's why people will queue up outside Apple stores when there's a launch of a new product. And that's why people don't queue up outside Dell stores when they launch of a new product. Well, because there aren't really stores for Dell, but you know what I mean? They're not getting crazy excited because Dell's releasing a new computer. So what he's really talking about here is around product and companies, but actually what he's speaking about is the relationship between you as the entrepreneur, as the person who owns your company, who's building this, and your customer. It's a full relationship that you have with them. Do they love what you do because of why you do it, rather than just what it is? What it is commoditized. Why you do it is uniquely you. Okay. This is in your canvases. We're not going to do this now as well because we don't have time, but I urge you to go through it. It's very, very useful to do this once you've got this kernel of an idea of a solution, but you can build the why from your big, hairy, audacious goal, and you can build the why from your North Star that you're trying to solve. This is why we do this. So for me, founder of Internet of Energy Network, I do this because I fundamentally believe that everybody on Earth has the right to affordable, accessible, renewable energy. No matter who you are, no matter how much money you've got, everyone has the right to that. And so that's my why I built the Internet of Energy Network and why we're doing the work we're doing. Okay, cool. I won't go into the rest of that now, but happy to another time. All right. So we're also, I think we will just testing. Yeah, we're going to go to opportunity canvas, but these are background canvases for you to look at and think about when you're designing your program. Go back to your North Star from number 5, which is that first initial customer base that you want to attract and what you're going to do to get to your North Star. So number 1 was North Star, 4, 3, 2, number 1 was the North Star, 2, 3, 4, 5 was the first one, which is what are those kind of customers, those initial customers going to want and feel and buy your product from. So pick one specific customer and test your assumptions. Now, what you do with this is this is a really great way of understanding how your customer is going to approach your product. So pick a specific person. So you're trying to identify a customer who is 35 years old, who works in the city of Melbourne and who rides an electric scooter to work. They are professional. They don't have much time. They're thinking about, having a family. Maybe they bought a house. Maybe they got a mortgage, all this kind of stuff. And what you do is you take this canvas and you write at the top on the canvas, because you got this in the participant canvases stuck on Disco this morning, who that customer profile is. And then you just go through and put sticky notes in these boxes. So what do they think and feel? What really counts to them? Not just about your product, but about them in general. What do they see? What do they say and do? What do they hear? So what are the things they're doing? So if you're 35 years old, who are your peer groups? Who's influencing you? Are they listening to podcasts? Are they listening to friends at, when they go to the pub? And then you put in pains and gains. What are the things that person really, really wants? What are the things that person really wants to avoid? What this is doing is setting you up for next time when we work through our value proposition canvas. But the key bit about this is getting you inside the mind of what you think is your primary customer. Now, you do this 2 or 3 or 4 times for different customer segments, and then you start to test that against your problem and your solution. Do they really find this problem really difficult? Or is there someone who is younger or older or of a different sex or of a different gender identity or of a different location who finds this problem more difficult to work with? And then what you end up with is a few customer empathy maps, which you can work from to deliver the best approach to your solution. Okay, so the goal of this is empathy. Put yourself in a customer's shoes and continually ask yourself, are you really solving the problem for them? Now, when you're doing B2B, for example, selling to an energy company, for example, you've got to say, okay, who's got the problem in that company and who am I solving it for? If you're doing energy innovation, for example, you may very well be working with the innovation department there, which is a bit trickier. But if you've got someone like a network provider who does poles and wires outside that has problems with grid balancing, you're thinking about the engineers who've got to be responsible for grid balancing, and you're thinking that individual is a person who is in their late 40s, who's very smart, knows what they're doing, but is having to face a very challenging time in the electricity market and electricity changes that are happening. What are the pains and gains that person's experienced on a day-to-day basis, and how might I help them overcome those in their daily job? All right. So we're going to not do this one right now because I want us to break out into some groups and do a different one, which is going to give us, I think, as fast as the answer. But I really encourage you to go back and look at these customer empathy maps and at least do a few of them before you go out and do your testing. Right. Opportunity canvas. So I really like this one. It's how do we build from a small acorn into a huge oak tree? And how do we do that with some understanding of what you can pull together in a short amount of time? So we're jumping rapidly through this stuff. So the idea with this opportunity canvas is you have your problem, you've identified your core problems from your North Star, your big hairy audacious goal, and your problem definition last time. You are now going to try and expose underlying assumptions. Is that problem true? Is the solution that I'm thinking about actually worthwhile attacking for it? Now, this opportunity canvas is normally used for product, but it works very well if you're thinking about a business because you have to have a product or a solution to give to someone. So the way you use this is start on the left in the red, which is the problems. So who are your users and customers? What are the problems they find? What are the solutions that today that really suck? Like what is a solution today that's just awful? And then what are the business problems those organizations or those people are facing? In the middle is your solution. Okay, cool. To solve those problems, here's my idea and my solution. Very, very rough, very, very high level. And then underneath budget. Now, this is a product level canvas, but you can use just generally, what would it cost you to create a solution like that? Don't overthink it. Don't think of the end solution. Think of that very first demo prototype that could solve and prove that your solution solves that problem. And then on the right is the green and the benefits. What are the things that someone's going to benefit out of this? What do they get out of it? Why on earth would they choose your solution over the one next to you? What are the kind of metrics that you'd use for that? And then for them as a business, when you're thinking about, you know, I guess working with City of Melbourne in this case, what do they get out of it? Is it increased, is it increased resonance with community members? Is it increased happiness from community members? Was it net MPI? And what is I'm having a brain freeze on the metric for Ben. I think you're going to say it.
Net Promoter Score.
Thank you. Net Promoter Score, NPS. Thank you very much. Of why someone resonates with a product. Okay, cool. So that's what the canvas looks like. It's in your canvases in the pack that you've got on Disco today. We're going to jump through this into it right now for 15 minutes. So work through the opportunity canvas and question your assumptions for your problem solution fit, work in an order of the numbers. And remember, stuff on the left, problems, stuff in the middle, your solution, stuff on the right, the outcomes you want to see. Now, Henry's going to open up the rooms. We're going to get 3 people in each. How many have we got today? I think 3 people. Maybe. Yeah, let's do that. Let's get 3 people in each room. Please spend just 5 minutes working through each of your problems. Okay. We'll jump in and out, and we'll see you in those rooms. Right. Cool. Thank you.
Oh, hi Daniel, you can join room number 6, and Xuan Wang, you can join room number 4. Thank you. Hi Ficum, welcome. So we are now working in a
Hi.
group. So I think would it be okay if I send you to a room and then you can meet your friends there, Ficum?
Sure.
Oh, okay, so I will assign you to a room here. Let me check. Okay, room number 4. All right, then.
Thanks, Henry. And Bator might come out, but he can't talk today because he's at home and looking after a family member. So if Bator comes out here, Henry, could you just put him into a different room so he can listen in?
Yeah, I will. Thank you.
Thanks, Henry. And is Danielle there or
Yeah, Daniel, would you mind to move to, oh, I think Daniel was kicked out, so yeah, she's back here. Yeah, I'll move it to room number, yeah, she's in room number 6.
Okay, great. Do you want to send me to who's got the least amount of participants in a room? You can send me to there.
Yeah, so you can join room number 4.
Thanks, Henry. Oh, is that one with Bator?
Yes, with Bator, room number 4.
Yeah, don't send me to a different one, please, because he can't do anything because he can't speak
Okay,
on
room
the.
number 6 then.
Okay, cool. Thank
6.
you. Perfect.
And Fikum, so
Yeah.
would you mind to go to room number 3 or 2? Yeah.
I think you have to assign us, Henry.
Okay. Try to assign you, but I cannot. How do I?
I'll join the breakout room and then leave again because I think that might be the issue.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So
So
I
Henry,
room number
the exercise by the way.
Yeah, I assign you.
Okay, what is the
Okay.
okay?
Now to Daniel, I assign Daniel to room number 6.
Thanks, Henry. Sorry, I changed devices.
Okay, no worries. And then Adam. Okay, great. Hi Jing. So welcome. So we are in a breakout session. So maybe you couldn't join the breakout session now, but you can join the main session in 2 minutes. So we will be back to the main session soon. Thank you.
Oh, sorry, I just realized I was on mute. That's all good. Thank you so much.
Great.
Hey, everybody. Okay, brilliant. So I just went through that with Xuan. Really cool to see how it kind of built out the product. How did you guys find that? What was the reflection on that kind of exercise? Did that make sense? Did it kind of help you get somewhere a little bit more tangible of what you're trying to do?
My Can I say something? So my reflection is that I think when I would suggest if we're doing it, we would have 2 people in the room rather than 3, because even with 3 people, it is very hard to cram things because we try to go through all the steps one by one, and we felt that we never had enough time to discuss anything. That would be one thing. Or we make it even more or less. Like for example, if we have instructions about this canvas, we are just going to focus on the problem part, or we are just going to do 1, 2, and 3 and nothing else. It
Yeah.
would help us.
Yeah, cool. I get it. It's really hard, and I know we're pushing super hard through this stuff. So, really, what we're trying to do here is just give you the tools so you can go away and work on it. Because in an hour and a half, it's hard to get through it all. But it's a good point, Hamza. We can change it around and do an example, if that's easier. So,
Or I would say, I think we can still do it, but then if we just try to make sure that we have more structures around. Yes, you have 1 minute to do this, 1 minute, and then we would just jump in quickly.
yeah. Okay.
Adam might like to second his thing. Two people is better.
Okay, 2 people. Cool. We can do that. Thank you, guys. I appreciate the feedback.
But on a high level, I found it useful just in terms of, reminding ourselves that this is partially around maybe finding like-minded people to an extent where you might even consider partnering up because your idea overlap so much. Or saying like, look, we are playing in a different, one of us in residentially, other one more in commercial or the like. And that might then open us up to share ideas a little bit more openly on a non-associated basis. So from that point of view, I think it clearly worked for me.
Yeah, that's really useful feedback. Thanks, Rolf. Because it is these things, like I remember when we were trying to get our business out and using these canvases, it got really annoying having to fill in all these canvases because just like I just want to get out there and sell the business. But actually, there's insight you just had there. Well, are there others who we've identified through this process that we could work with or improve the speed of our business is really useful. And that's why these things are very useful to actually do the exercise. So, okay, thanks, Rolf. That's great. Any other reflections?
Just one more. I would say we can still stick with 3 people, but if we have some instructions in Slack channels that, oh, how about if you guys want to meet up or, for example, do an online session together after the workshops. So if we have something like that, that would be easier as well. Like just prompted that, this is all of you guys who are interested in getting together themselves and go through these exercises themselves. You can do that, or this is one channel where you will find all those people who are interested in in working offline, not just during these workshops. It would also help.
Yeah, great. That's fantastic. Okay, cool. So some channels around, so maybe it would be better if then we put some channels around kind of like the core themes of each of these seminars around finding customer, problem opportunity fit. Okay, cool. All right, great. My memory's pretty bad, but Henry and I will remember this together. So okay.
Also, Adam, while you're thinking of it, like micro mobility, should be with other micro mobility, kind of like the organizing it that way might work better too, because then they're in the same headspace as you.
Got it. That's really helpful. Okay, cool. All right. So we'll put some channels in Slack with the themes and then the kind of key problems and focus areas. Okay, cool. Really appreciate the feedback, you guys. This is super helpful. All right, great. Okay, so let's dive into this next part. Wow, like we need a week. We need a week to do this stuff, like a proper week. Okay, so we're gonna jump into jobs to be done. Give me a sec while I share this screen. All right, so what we're gonna do after this is like I'm gonna put into the Slack channel a couple of links from Harvard Business School on this, which will help you kind of get some more context on it. But I'm going to give you the super fast version here. Jobs to be done is it took me a while to figure it out, but it's a very, very, very useful way of thinking about how you build something for your customer. Now, jobs to be done is not a task list that you have to do, like register for the ATO and blah, blah, blah for your company, put on websites, not that. Jobs to be done is what job does your product do for your customer? And so the classic example that Clayton Christensen, who came up with this, talks about is milkshakes. And they studied a fast food store in the US, and everyone came in the morning and they bought milkshakes. And there were lots of people buying milkshakes, and that's what they sold the most of. And they're like, why are people buying milkshakes early in the morning in the US? And so what they did is they interviewed a whole bunch of those people, and they weren't buying milkshakes because they love milkshakes necessarily. What actually turned out was people bought milkshakes for 2 main reasons. Firstly, they could hold it in one hand. And secondly, it filled them up. Why was that important? It was because they were driving to work and had a long commute. So so basically what happened is people walk in the morning. I'm not going to get a burger because I can't eat that really with one hand. I'm not going to get a banana because the banana is hard to peel and I have to take a phone call. I'm getting a milkshake. Milkshake sits in the cup holder. I can drink it all the way. It sits in my stomach, keeps me full till lunchtime. That's what they found out. And so the job to be done of that milkshake wasn't to give someone a banana or a strawberry flavor. It was to keep them full and to enable them to do it and be satisfied with hunger on the drive to work. So what are the jobs that your product is getting done for your customer? Okay. The reason jobs to be done is really important. And you got to think about this of why someone will come to you and buy your product. A job to be done is what happens. It's a time and place when there's a trigger event of a current reality, a trigger event that puts you to a new, better reality in the future. And they can be different for different reasons. For example, it's lunchtime, my stomach's grumbling and I need to eat. I buy a sandwich. Cool. But the trigger there is I'm hungry. But if it's hungry, it's 7:36 p.m. and I'm hungry, it's my wife's birthday, then I'm not just going to go and buy a sandwich for myself. I need to go to do something else, get a nice takeaway, take her to a restaurant, do something different. So the product that is created is something very different in those 2 scenarios for jobs to be done, but your trigger is the same. And so when you're thinking about your jobs to be done, and what we're going to work through in a second is it's about testing the push and pull factors that enable someone to go, I need that thing. And then over time create a habit that makes them always buy or employ that product to do that job for them. So this is about understanding people's trigger points. What is the point where they can start to think differently and buy something from you instead of something else, someone else, or buy a partnership in an open innovation competition is them making the decision to work with you about creating some solution. And then the second part is when you've gone through that, it's what keeps them coming back to do that just makes it easier over time. The milkshake example is very good because people carried on drinking milkshakes because there wasn't another product at that shop that would satisfy the person to do the things they actually needed to get done. All right. As ever, you'll have all this later. So, well, I'm going to leave you to watch this later on as well from the Jobs to be Done website, because I basically just sort of explained it, but this is for you to just cover later if you need to. But what you do is you take those customer empathy maps that you can build, you take that opportunity canvas, and you build out the jobs to be done for that customer from those approaches and from that data. Okay. So let's do some jobs to be done canvases. And I'm going to give an example of this one. So let's just do it all together in the same group here, because it's going to make it a lot easier to work through. So let's, for example, take this, this problem. City of Melbourne is experiencing severe heat waves leading to health problems and power shortages. Okay, so here's how we're going to work through a potential way of getting jobs to be done. I'll show you the next slides. We work through these things, identify the jobs, then we drag and drop it into prioritization, then we brainstorm the top one, and then we put solutions associated with that, that top job. You then move to user stories, which is, as a user of X, Y, and Z, when I'm doing this, I want to so that I can. And this at the bottom gives you features of your product. And what we're trying to do here is, for example, in the milkshake, is as a commuter going to work in the morning, driving my car, when I'm going to work in the morning, driving my car, I want to have something to do with my hands and feel nice and full up so that I can arrive at work ready to, take on the day without having to get a snack straight away. Okay, feature A. Well, you need to have it in one hand while they're driving. It needs to fill up. So it's got to be a container of some sort. Okay, cool. They can hold it in one hand. As a person driving to work, when I am hungry driving to work, I want to eat something that is delicious so I can feel happy about myself. Okay, so we got to build something that's really delicious and super nice in that container. This is a small example, but that's what we're trying to get to. All right. So I'm going to share the screen here. Now, this is the plan we're going to do right now, not breaking out to groups. We're just going to work through this problem, this action prompt. Okay, so City of Melbourne is experiencing severe heat waves leading to health problems and power shortages. What are the jobs to be done if the City of Melbourne is experiencing severe heat waves leading to health problems and power shortages? Give me some examples. Shout it out. I can't see the chat, so probably better if you just speak it. And I'm going to make
build heat relief centers.
Okay, brilliant. So need heat relief centers. Okay, cool. So the job to be done there is provide comfort from heat.
Enforce, encourage work from home. So that's
we can install backup batteries for home or provide concession for installing backup batteries or something like that to avoid the power shortages.
Backup electricity batteries. As the job to be done there is maintain 100% electricity uptime. Okay,
we can plant more trees.
Actually, we'll stop us there for one moment. So what we're doing right now is we've immediately jumped to solutions. So I didn't catch that at first, but it's absolutely what's happened. So what we're doing is, I'll put it here, backup batteries is a solution, and so is heat relief centers. But the job to be done is provide comfort from heat.
Well, I think, or protect the most vulnerable, right? So, you know, in the recent heat wave, discussion was, should, you know, libraries be open up for people that just can't afford electricity, full stop. So I would say, you know, protect the most vulnerable is absolutely the job. Could be the elderly, could be the needy, could be.
Yeah, perfect. Protect the most vulnerable. Excellent. That's a great job we're going to have here. What else have we got? What other jobs exist?
Let the people know that there's going to be a heat wave coming.
Okay.
On them, informing jobs. Communicate. Yeah. Yeah, that will create a solution of informing them at the right time and the right avenue.
Yeah, okay. So we would probably say then, would that be ensure people are informed?
Also provide, if in case they're out, provide them with equipment where that they can actually protect.
I lost that last bit. Provide them with what, sorry?
Any kind of equipment or accessories that will help them protect while they're in commute.
Okay.
That kind of unique to a job. It's like, you know, like vending machines that can provide like a umbrella or something. You wanna.
So would that be ensure safety during traveling?
Safety kind of thing.
Keep them hydrated.
Okay, yeah, cool. So we need to ensure access to water.
There's also another thing that certain people don't know whether they are not hydrated until they actually faint. So there's another job that can be created from there by identifying who actually needs it as well.
Okay. So so that kind of like protect the most vulnerable, that probably come to identify the most vulnerable.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Okay, brilliant. Let's stop there. Now, which of these is the most important? So I'm just going to copy these.
Probably the most vulnerable.
Maintain 100% electricity.
Okay, so I'm going to.
Very hard to do the others without that.
Okay, yeah. Okay, cool. So we've got maintain 100% electricity, protect the most vulnerable. Okay, so maintain would be top, we think, and then protect the most vulnerable underneath that.
Surely ensure clean drinking water.
Yeah, I think cleaning, that's what I was thinking. Cleaning drinking water is important.
Yeah.
It's like the basic human needs, I would say, are the most important.
Okay, cool. What will come next?
The communication, so that they know when they're going to need to.
Yep. Ensure people are informed probably is the one. Yep. Okay, cool. That sort of sits there as well. Okay.
I think communicate would be the same as ensure people are informed. Yeah. So isn't like, because this is more of like this is more of a solution, right? Communicate early and openly.
Yeah. Okay. All right, cool. Yeah.
I don't know. I feel we are guessing here with priority, and there's historic data in terms of who are the most vulnerable, and you clearly see that the elderly will die. So you know, I think your first priority is then what needs to be done for them not to die. On the waterfront, animals are most likely to die or take severe harm if they're of drinking water. So
yes.
All I'm saying here is I think we shouldn't be left second guessing in terms of priority. I think historic data does give us the priority as it is.
Yeah. Okay, cool. That's a good point. And so historic background data is important for us to do the research to confirm which is top priority here. Absolutely.
Yeah, I know. You know, you had like 10 kids die in overheated cars because parents went gambling. You don't hear that anymore because the message has come through. So
yeah.
You know, for vulnerable will be opening up the libraries. For cats and dogs, it will be water. And for you know, people that go gambling and leave their kids in the car, well, you know, good communication that doesn't happen.
Yeah. Okay, great. Really, really helpful. So what do we think then for those? Let's think about some solutions then that could, so we can take those top ones. Let's take both of these top ones. Like I prefer to do just one, but let's electricity and identify them, protect the most vulnerable. So what might solutions be? We've already need backup batteries, need heat relief centers. What else have we got that would be
portable devices, like portable devices that can provide relief, like fans? that
Okay.
that doesn't require, there are chargeable devices. So it is hard to maintain 100% electricity that requires huge changes at the grid level things.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if we have some kind of portable, another thing we can do is we can also look at how they're managing it in Africa, because in Africa they come up with a lot of low cost solutions that are very ingenious.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
would inspire something.
Okay, cool. So let's get some specific solutions here. We got batteries, relief centers, portable relief fans.
We did transport to the relief centers because often people who are frail can't take public transport.
Yeah. Relief centers, cool. Okay.
Longer term and higher cost would be urban climate, so stuff like opening up the area for swimming and alike.
Cool.
While improving urban climate and landscape.
Yeah, cool. Okay, cool.
Public, I would say, public awareness campaign around be mindful of the elderly, like the way they do it for, in case of winters, they have campaigns around pets. Be mindful of dogs and cats in your car tires and stuff like that.
Yep.
So something similar. Be mindful of the most vulnerable during outbreaks.
Yeah, it could be like a volunteer program to check on your neighbors who are elderly or something like that.
Yeah, great. Yeah, great.
Create a community center where people like, like there's a community swimming pool or something like that. Or...
Yeah, great. Okay, cool. Heat relief. Okay, brilliant. Let's stop it there. This is a great example. Okay, excellent. So what we've got right now is, so we've got batteries, we need heat relief centers, portable fans and things not on the main, specific transport, public awareness campaign, excuse me, improving urban areas. Okay, great. So now we've got those. This is what we do if you're doing this run by yourself. You each put one of your solutions here for these things for the different parts of your different projects. What we can do in this, because we've been doing it together, is, okay, if we were to take those top solutions and we think about the job to be done, what is the specific place where that, or specific group of people that solution will be put in for? So need backup electricity batteries. Okay, great. But where would they go? Well, who would experience this problem the most at the very early stages? So who is the most critical person? We've got a group of people we've got to get backup electric capacities to.
People who stay at home, because offices usually have backup generators and things like that.
Okay, cool. So
Hospitals.
Would be like
Yeah.
remote villages or
Elderly folks' homes.
So critical infrastructure not already covered. So hospitals normally have backup generation. So does some buildings, but like who is critical? It's not already covered. Is it old? Yeah. Is it like aged care?
Yeah, aged care.
Yeah. So we'd say here, okay, cool. So aged care.
I mean, any place that would be designated as a relief center would be like shopping malls and things like that wouldn't be covered right now.
Right.
Most of the aged care does have backup batteries, but yeah, there are some that still don't have as well.
Yep. Okay, cool. Okay, great. And then, so we've kind of got, we'll do one more on the kind of vulnerability part of it, the most vulnerable. We kind of had a volunteer program point down here that you said, Danny, I think. So what else would we do for what is something specific to do with vulnerability that we would target as an initial product or solution?
I think awareness campaign would be something we can actually target and measure. Like we can do it through Facebook groups and see how many people join in and encourage people to post what they did to have an idea of how they are maintaining it.
Yeah.
Like people share what they did just to get a pat on the back, and that kind of give other people ideas about how they can, what they can also do in the community.
Peer-to-peer solutions. Okay. Yeah, it's an idea. What else do we have for like vulnerability or targeted awareness campaign, peer-to-peer sharing peer-to-peer solutions?
We can involve body corporates.
Yeah. Body corporates of buildings.
The body corporates are the ones that manage the buildings, like especially residential buildings. Like, so if there is a campaign that body corporate supports and they send the emails to the members about, oh, this is the heat wave is coming and we have this volunteer group, we are looking for people to volunteer.
Yeah.
So it would be easy for people within the building to join their group.
Yeah.
Like, for example, in my building, if my body corporate says that this is a volunteer group to look after the elderly and let us know about who the elderly people are. So we would exactly know easily that in my building, there are 3 apartments where there are elderly people, and then who are the people who would regularly check on them during the heat waves.
Right. That's brilliant. Okay, I didn't quite understand where you're going with that. That makes a lot of sense. Excellent. So let's go quickly back to the beginning. What we've actually got here is we've identified this example of heat waves and health problems and power shortages. We've identified that here are the jobs we need to achieve through the solution. Here are the prioritization of that. We've got to have electricity and we've got to protect the most vulnerable. From those two, we've got these kinds of ideas for broad scale solutions. And then what we've done here, we've taken 2 of those and create very specific solutions. So we've gone from we need to protect the most vulnerable and provide comfort from heat, all the way through to engage, making sure there's backup batteries in some aged care relief centers like shopping centers that weren't on the list already, and specific communications for body corporates to create volunteer groups. So we've gone from a need here to protect the most vulnerable to a email campaign and a list of set of instructions for body corporates. Now, that's the kind of funnel we want to use for all of those ideas, because they end up being something very specific. Because now, for example, you could go to the city of Melbourne and say, our heat is a massive issue. Our solution is we've just got a simple toolkit that you can roll out to body corporates across Melbourne that's going to save lives of elderly people during heat waves. And that is pretty cool. So this is why this Jobs to be Done is so powerful, because you actually end up coming up with something that's really specific and tangible. All right. Last little bit here. These are very intense, aren't they? We rattle through at a rapid rate of knots. Well done, everyone. It's not easy. So I'm just going to share that one. Okay, great. Well done. So we're not going to do this one now, but what I'd encourage you to do is work through these Jobs to be Done user stories from one of these outcomes here, one of these specific outcomes at the end. I'll share with you after this as well. And so what you'd say is potentially for specific communications for body corporates is you'd say, as a chair of body corporate, when I am faced with an impending heat wave, I want to ensure all of my residents are safe in my apartment building so that I can make sure that we're doing a great job and save lives. So the feature here would be, okay, so I need to know, so the feature for the product would be early warning to body corporates. Feature B could be something completely different. David, you got a question?
Yes. We're in the preparation putting our application forward. Do we have any chance that we get introduced to stakeholders like body corporates, operators, and stuff like that before the application through this program, or sort of?
Yeah. Do you mean introductions to body corporates through the City of Melbourne?
Yes.
Yeah, I think the answer would be yes, but I think we'd have to go through the mentorship approach. Is there anyone in the mentors who would fit that profile, do you think?
I don't know. I'm not looking for body corporates myself. I'm looking for energy companies, for example. But going through the mentor list, I don't see them represented well in there.
Yeah. Okay. So there's a few. Okay. So the answer to the first one is, the truthful answer is, I'm afraid I don't have the specifics of the kind of those individuals. However, if there are specific people that you do want to speak to, reach out. Like, I can help you with that one, David, and obviously Richard can as well. It depends on which kind of energy companies. Maybe I can help with an intro for that. So
awesome.
Yeah, ping me on that one as well of who you look for. For everyone else, if you're looking for those specific mentor contacts, I'd probably say really go through the list of mentors there. And if you can't find someone that's relevant for you, message Henry and I, and we'll see who we can rustle up or see who we can get from the City of Melbourne to come forward. But yeah, it's a good question, David. Thanks for sharing it. I appreciate it. Yeah. So Jobs to be done, you get your features. What this should do at the end of it is when you've got feature A, B, and C, you can do as many features as you want, but then you're ending up with what looks like the outline of a product. And it's all driven by what that customer wants. Okay. So customer testing. Here's what I want us to look at. What I'd want you guys to look at over the next week is getting some data. So you go through those canvases, it spits out the end, 3 features you think in your product that could work to solve the problem that you've been developing since the beginning. Try and find 2 lots of data. First lot is secondary data, which I mean by that is existing data that exists in the public sphere, economic or other data to support your viewpoint. So in energy, it could be amount of blackouts that we have per year, amount of people who are in poverty or increasingly in poverty because of energy costs, et cetera, something like that. That's data you can pull from the web, but it can support your viewpoint on I'm going to provide low-cost batteries to people with low income, whatever it might be. Then some primary data, and this is the most important data. Even if you get 5 interviews done with potential customers and you don't pitch them, but you get some insight on what their problems are and why they need help, that is absolute gold for an application, especially if those interviews are people associated with this open innovation competition. For example, you've spoken to your mentor and the mentor has given you this amazing quote. You might not be able to say their name, but you might be able to use the quote. So interviews, fantastic. I'd probably say they're the very best because you get to the heart of the problem quicker. Surveys, setting up a survey, a quick survey, send to more people, see if you can get some data on that, do it on Typeform, super easy. That's great as well. Landing pages, also excellent. So you make a fake landing page that says, hey, do you suffer from excess heat in the summer? Well, we've got these portable fans that you can subscribe to, and they only cost you 50 cents a week and blah, 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 whatever it might be. Sign up here. And people put in their email addresses. That is the first kind of validation that someone wants your product. So you can kind of produce some early level demos on that. And I'll share some examples on Buffer because of this in the meantime. This link, because we don't have time to go through it right now, is definitely worth watching. It's just a great approach from Justin Wilcox on what not to do when you're doing customer discovery. And the biggest one is do not pitch. Like if you say to them, hey, great to meet you. So what we're doing here, and you just immediately launch into your pitch, it's going to be really tricky because people just find it so hard. You do have to give the outline of what you were trying to solve, the problem, and you think you've got something that works on this, and this, but giving them the pitch as if you got all the answers is the worst outcome to get for a customer discovery interview, because all the customer will do is tell you what you want. They'll tell you what they think you want to know and never ask, so would you buy this? Because they're always going to say, unless they're really blunt, most people say, yeah, sure. And then when it comes down to, cool, stick in 10 grand in this bank account, they're like, maybe not. David, is a question.
Wasn't that one of Steve Jobs' standard questions? How much would you be happy to pay for such a wonderful product?
Yeah, but I think he was kind of asking it rhetorically. Because he thought his products were so amazing that they're basically priceless. Yeah. But
he was very confident about his products.
Yeah, that's right. But he didn't expect the answer of $1,400 for an iPhone.
I'm not sure about that, but we can have this conversation.
Yeah, sure. The challenge with asking people if they want to pay for this, is this something you'd like to buy, is that you end up with quite a few false positives. And so you can go away from it thinking, oh, this is good, people want to buy this stuff. The better way of doing it, and how Buffer did it, is put up the pricing online and say, sign up here for this. And people clicked on it and said, I'm willing to pay $15 a month for Buffer. And then you know, because they think it's real. So there's definitely, you're right, David, we can definitely test pricing for sure, but I just wouldn't do it in an interview. Okay. And then, thanks, then target customer. So here's the other canvas that you've got here. You use your user stories, use this to narrow down into your target customer base. So who is that kind of key customer that you really want to get to? Is the job to be done big or small? Is the need nice to have or a must have? This will feed very strongly into our value proposition canvas next time. And here's some tangible evidence to prove it. So use this one and write it down. Write that evidence down that you're getting for it. Okay. All right, cool. We've got 30 seconds. It's a huge one. Please jump in.
Adam, can you reshare the presentation that you shared? I couldn't find the link to this presentation where it has all these canvases.
Yeah, we're gonna the participant canvas should be in Disco, and I'm gonna put this one up after this session.
Okay, so it is in okay, so the other platform, Disco.
Yeah, so Disco is where we're hosting all of the materials. And then, yeah, so that's where all the materials are hosted. This is where you're going to go through the experience, and then Slack is where we're doing our chats and channel.
Okay, because I was not looking at, I didn't realize that you have posted it in Discord, because I was looking at the Slack channel and I couldn't find the link there. Sure, I'll go to the Discord channel and find it.
Awesome. Thanks, Sam. So we can reshare some links there. Okay, cool. Into the chat. Quick one word. How you're feeling from that, and then kind of quick adjective. How do you feel right now? Driven, ready to get to work. Excellent. Awesome. Formative. Yeah, cool. Jobs to be done. Yeah, ready. Confused. Okay. No Discord. No Discord. Disco. Disco is the education platform. Slack is the chats. Yes, I use Discord for other things as well. Thank you. I'll just stick Hendrik, could you stick the link for Disco into the, actually, I've got it just here. I'll stick into the chat. So great. Thank you, Danielle. So jump into that. That's where all the learning materials are. Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone. Really appreciate you turning up to this. Having this turnout is amazing. This was really heavy, right? So next week, we're going to take it back a bit. Next week, we're going to focus on the application process and kind of what's going on in each of those sections in the application process. And then we're going to do more of a kind of open work through session next time on the application process. Please, we'll set up the Slack channels. So that was really helpful feedback. Please send more feedback if you have any other feedback on what you would like to see and how that structures. And then any comments or questions on these canvases, we're going to start putting them into the Slack channel and get some questions and comments going through on those. And so you guys can ask those questions and we can work it out. All right. We're 2 minutes late. Apologies for the run over. Thank you all. It's great to see you. Take care. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye everyone.